everyone, Abby here, Purple Cottage Crafts, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. In this one I'm going to be sharing with you some really fun and creative ways that you can use these awesome vintage and antique items. This is an antique embosser press stamp, and you can find these all over on Amazon, Etsy, like Facebook Marketplace, just places like that. And if you're lucky, you might even come across some at like an estate sale or something like that. So this is the one that I purchased, and what drew me to this one specifically is this brass plate right here, this brass nameplate. And this is from the Thompson Parker Holding Company, and you can find them in all different sizes. There's different colors, and each one is going to be unique unless you're buying like a bulk lot from like one particular business or something. But each one is going to have a different saying on the stamp itself because they're made for a particular business. So that, you know, it's not very common to find like 2 or 3 in one bundle of the same. At least that's not been my experience anyway. Not saying it's not out there. So if you're not familiar with what the embosser stamp is, there's a couple different names I've seen. Antique embosser press stamp, I've just seen embossing press stamp, and then just press stamp, all those different kinds of keywords. So this is a tool that is used to create a colorless raised impression. So it's like a stamp we would use for card making or scrapbooking or things like that, or it's not like embossing where you use wet or dry embossing. So it's nothing like that. What it does, it makes an impression upon whatever material you put in here. Typically it's paper. I'm going to show you a couple different substrates that I'm going to be using today, and what it does is it leaves a very visual and tactile impression. So let me show you one here. Let's see, it'll grab. So this is on a piece of masking paper like what you get at Home Depot or Lowe's. See that impression right there? And what it has on here is the information for this particular company for the press stamp that I happen to have. And sometimes you'll find them where parts of the seal, the stamp will be missing, or not missing, but where it's kind of like maybe worn down just from use. So sometimes some of the words may not show up. You can find some with just dates on them, just all different kinds. It just kind of depends on what it is you're looking for. So that's on a piece of masking paper. And here is one on some vintage onion skin paper. And because it is just due to the nature of older paper like this, if you press too hard you can get some breakthrough, and I had that on a couple of my pieces. I'm not too concerned about that. It's like it's just kind of cracking through. I'm not sure if you can see that, like right there, that little hole right there. That doesn't bother me though. But just the nature of using older paper, like I said, it just leaves a really cool textural and visual detail there, and I love that. And on a couple of those samples I did cut some circles out just to kind of play around with, you know, having some different sizes. I think it's kind of fun to have it in this shape as well. You can make it into like a tuck spot or a flip or tippin or something like that. So here's another sample of where I use the press stamp. This is just on a paint chip that you can get at any hardware store or any place that sells paint chips or sells paint and has the samples. So this is the embossing here, and you can kind of see some of the white core of the paper, and I like that look. And if you want to make that a little bit more defined, you can take like a nail file or a piece of sandpaper or some type of distressing tool, and then you can sand over top of that. And I'll show that in a minute. I don't want to get anything on my journal here. So there's that piece. And then here's another example. This is on a glassine bag, and it goes through on the back side. You can still open this up and put whatever you'd like inside there, maybe even just some a few sample bits of this, and you want to send it some happy mail or something like that. So that's just another idea of how you can use the press stamp. This is on a book checkout card, library card, and it's just, you know, regular paper that this is made of, and of course it's going to do the stamping on there. And so I wanted to kind of show you just a few basic samples, and then I'm going to go ahead and get a couple other substrates over here, and then we'll come back and I will show you just a couple different applications that you can use the press stamp on. So I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so before I start working on the other substrates, I wanted to just sand this down real quick just to kind of get it out of the way. So I'm just using an old nail file, and then you just kind of gently on top just sand. And this is something, you guys, that we've all done a gazillion times in card making, scrapbooking, journal making, all that kind of stuff. It's just basically you're just distressing. And you can even do this on some of like the Timmy paper where it has or like the coordinations paper where it has like a different colored core inside. That'd be kind of cool, besides just having just white. So you can distress this as little or as much as you want. and this really brings out the detail from that stamp. So of course I could go a lot more than that, but just to kind of give you guys just a quick idea of what I was referring to earlier. Okay, and just to kind of show you a few of the different samples of fabrics and different materials that I kind of pulled together for the video. This is just your basic standard cotton, and these are vintage flour sack and table linen there. This is modern day linen, I guess you could say, for making clothes and stuff, meaning it's not vintage. And then this is another type of vintage tablecloth linen there. It's kind of a little bit slubby. I love that stuff. And then down here, this is also like a dish towel, but I got it from the Target dollar spot. So it's something like a napkin, or like a you know, linen napkin, or fabric napkin, I should say, because it's not really linen. But anyway, this isn't old or anything. I just wanted to kind of show you that if you don't have access to older and antique vintage and textiles, or maybe it's not something that you like to work with, you can work with, you know, new things too. It doesn't have to be something that's old. Okay, so just using a few of these samples of fabric here. I mean, you know, it's basically the same thing as using it on different types of paper. I just wanted to share with you guys that you can try this on different types of fabrics and textiles as well if you want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a piece in, and I'll kind of show you. Let me show you on this piece of paper. This particular one, I've seen some that have a little bit deeper of a throat in there. It just kind of depends on the make and model. But for the one I have, it goes in about, you know, that's the most I can push material or something in there, is that far. So that's the, I guess, the depth of mine, or whatever you want to say. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a piece down here. So you don't have to press very hard, just kind of press down. And if you do want to push a bit harder, you can. You get a little bit deeper impression, but I wouldn't put your whole body weight like forcefully on there onto the press. So just kind of give it a press. And some materials, it's going to show up better than others. It just depends on the weave. But here is the vintage linen, table linen here. And some of these fabrics, it's not going to be as defined as what you see on paper. It's just the nature of the substrate you're using. But look how cool that is. I think that's just so neat. It's just a really fun kind of different way to use your different fabrics and stuff in projects, with something different than just, you know, regular, you know, stamping like with ink and things like that. Just another fun little way to kind of dress it up, I think. And then this is that cotton, new cotton fabric here. Press down, and you get that. So it looks really cool. And a couple of these I already did it on. You can kind of see it in the corner. This is another bit of some vintage linen here. I think this is from a set of napkins or something, if I remember right. So here is the impression on that one there. And if you are not happy with how your image came out from the stamping, you can use a hot iron on some of the different fabrics. It just kind of depends on what material you're using. Yeah, this one here, I tried to iron this one out and it didn't go away, but it's really cool how it looks. I like that. It's just a real faint, like it's just been time worn. It's just not as prominent or as raised as this one here. So that is just something there. I did it on a couple cotton pieces and it came out just fine. So that might be an option for you. This is some older flour sack here. Press down there, and then here we have it there. And then this is the newer linen, I guess you could say. And I get this from Terra Textilia. I will try to remember to link her website below. And then there it is on the linen. You could even embroider around that if you wanted to. And then this is the Target dollar spot. I think it was, I can't remember if it was a dish towel or like a fabric napkin, I forget which it was listed as, or branded as anyway. And then there it is on that. So it comes out really cool. A lot of fun. So just a few different quick, super easy examples of how you can use different types of fabrics, different weights, and get some really cool texture pieces that you can use in your journals, which I will show you in just a moment. A little sneak peek of this beauty I've been working on for about a year and a half. So I'm going to make a couple little decorative accents for this, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that using some of the different bits from the press stamp. Okay, so I've gathered just a few different types of papers that I'm going to be using throughout the rest of this journal, not necessarily in this video, just kind of showing you some samples. So just different types of mixed media papers. I've got some vintage papers, tea-dye, coffee dye paper, and this is actually a page from the old scrapbooks, the larger ones, and so I just took that off. I was just testing out a sticker on there, see if I liked it or not. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a couple impressions on here, and I'll just kind of gab with you as I'm working on it. So I came across using these, or starting to collect these, from one of my girlfriends, Renelle, and it has an amazing studio, you guys. She does not have a YouTube channel. She does have an Instagram, and I will link that below so you guys can check it out. And she has quite the collection of these press stamps, and I'm just like, why have I not purchased one before, and why have I not used them in my actual crafting before? So it's a cool piece because it's decorative, it's antique, and I love to collect antique and vintage things, plus I can use it in my crafting, so that was kind of cool. So this is a piece of vintage sheet music as the cover, And see if I can get it to go in there. I don't think direction really matters. I mean, if you were using this, you know, as its intended purpose back in the day, I'm sure the direction would make a difference. But you can see what a really nice deep impression it made on this older paper. Just so cool. So cool. And then on this little bit of graph paper, if you wanted to do just a half of one, you could certainly do that. And we'll just do a couple of those here. We'll just do like the top half, and then we'll do the bottom half. And just kind of maybe just get a partial of the side, see what that looks like. So just little pieces, so you can just use little bits, you know, you don't have to use the whole entire stamp to get a really cool textured piece. You know, you could use it as a page tab or something like that if you wanted to do that. Sheet music, I don't plan on using this particular piece in the journal, but I just wanted to kind of see what it did on sheet music because I haven't tried it yet, and it works just great. I'm sure some of the older papers will, you know, possibly tear more than, or easier than others. I already did, no, this is a different one. So let me try on this one, in the lower corner. The papers feel pretty much the same as on the other sheet music I showed you, the cover, but just to kind of give it a try. And I just think it looks so cool. Even going into the decorative border, I think that's kind of fun. This is just regular writing paper. I thought it'd be kind of fun to mimic, like you were writing, like you came across like an old, you know, timey letter or something like that from a business or something like, you know, from maybe from like a shipping industry or something like that, and you could just do like some writing on here and just kind of have that. That'd be kind of fun to maybe do that, incorporate that kind of a thing. And if you wanted to have a little bit longer of a letter, you could certainly do that as well on the bottom of a larger piece of paper. And then the last one I'm gonna make you guys watch me do is on this mixed media paper, because I think it's kind of cool. So we're gonna do over here in the corner, bottom corner, because I haven't quite decided exactly what part of this I want to put in the journal. So, but there it is on just a few different samples of papers, whether it's coffee dyed, tea dyed, thicker like mixed media paper, copy paper, onion skin paper, antique and different types of vintage, more delicate papers like glassine, that kind of thing, and even on old sheet music. So just a lot of different substrates that you can use this type of a tool on to create some really cool and unique looks for all your different projects. Okay, so for one of the different pieces that we just stamped together, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. The backside is great for journaling or whatever, you know, the person wants to do with the journal. It's got that really cool fun stamp on it, and to stick it right there in the front. So that's just a real basic, super easy option. You can also put, you know, like some different slow stitchy collagey bits on there, which I'll probably end up doing because that's kind of what I like to do with my different embellishments and things like that. But just something just as simple as putting that press stamp seal on there really gives it a really kind of cool and fun visual interest, I think, whenever you open up the journal. Okay, just another quick example. I have this little flap that comes out here. Just took that longer piece of paper, like letter length writing paper, and then I just have the steel on the bottom. The seal, not the steel. I'm not sure why I said that. And I think it looks kind of cool just tucked in there. You can also do it this way, so it shows a little bit more. And again, it's just more visual interest whenever you have an image like that, or in this case, an embossed, a raised embossed image on there. So I think that's kind of cool looking. Okay, and so for the next little sample here, I just am using one of the vintage linen pieces that was embossed. I cut it down, and I'm just making one of my little slow stitchy kind of collagey bits, but it's going to be a little mini fabric flip inside this journal. And then I'm going to stitch this button down right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use some old string here, and I'm just going to be doing just some really loose, real basic super stitching, almost like stab stitching, so that way I can get this part done a little quicker for you guys and show you how this is going to look once it's all stitched together inside the journal here as a little mini fabric flip. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, just real super simple, quick. Look how cute that looks. And then that embossing is still on there. I love that. So sometimes I will stitch this actually to the page itself, and then sometimes I'll just glue it once I already have it all stitched together. So just for, you know, time on this particular video, I'm going to go ahead and just glue this part down, and then it'll be the little fabric flip. So I'm just going to be using some fabric tack here, or excuse me, yeah, fabric tack. And we'll go ahead and get that on the back side here. And I did leave the string long because I like that. I know this isn't really pertaining to what this video is about, but I wanted to kind of show you guys some actual application instead of me just telling you and talking to you and showing you. So plus it's also helping me finish this journal that I've been working on for 1.5 years. It's been crazy. So because I work on it in between other projects. So if you like how this is looking so far, the journal, this will be up for sale once I get her all done. And just to kind of throw that out there. All right, so then we have a little fabric flip right there with the, oops, got that thread caught in the book there, with a little press stamp, or excuse me, the press stamp seal. There you go, Abby. There, use your words. I think that's just kind of cool. It's just something a little bit different you can do on a piece of fabric. Okay, and just for one more application for this video anyway, just going to go ahead and take that glassine envelope that we did the press stamp on, press stamp seal, and then I'm just going to simply include in here just a few of the pieces that I've done previously that are, you know, have the stamp on them, and a few of the circles, and then some of the ones that are still in the square. I mean, I didn't cut it out yet. So that way, whoever, you know, you give this to or whatever, they will have some different individual pieces they can use in different projects or however they would like to do that. And then just to really close it up real super simple and cute, just a rusty paper clip, and then just a bit of some fabric that coordinates with this particular journal. So look how cute that is. Just a really fun, super easy way to decorate and to just add a really kind of fun embellishment to your different packaging options or things you're going to be tucking into journals and such. Okay, so I hope that I was able to show you a few different ways that you can use the vintage or antique embosser press stamps in your different projects, using it on different types of fabrics and textiles and papers and different types of materials like glassine and even like onion skin paper and typewriter paper. So if you are interested in purchasing something like this for your own crafty needs, just head over to Etsy or eBay. I probably would use eBay first. I tend to find things like this are cheaper there. That's just been my search results, is what I'm trying to say. And you can find these for pretty inexpensive. I don't remember how much exactly I paid for this one. I've seen some for as little as 15 bucks, and I've seen some up to 200 bucks. It just depends on the seller and the age and the uniqueness of the different embosser press stamps that you find. So you can kind of look for those there. And as I mentioned in the intro, you can find them possibly at antique shops, or I don't think I mentioned antique shops actually, but you can find some there, I'm sure. And then also at estate sales and things like that. So I hope that I was able to kind of give you guys some additional creative ideas on how to use that kind of a tool in your different projects, whether it be journals, packaging ideas, for letter writing, things like that. So I hope this was an enjoyable video for you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!